Welcome to Divorce to Dynamite. I'm Michelle O'Neill. Today, I have a very special guest to tell you about. I am so pleased to bring you Ms. Rita Oliver. I met Rita Oliver, probably in 2018. I've known her for years. And let me tell you something. She is a very powerful speaker and a very, very impactful woman. She absolutely blew my hair back whenever she got up on a stage and she said these words. She said, "Ladies, the man ain't the plan." And if you heard me tell my story about my dad and his advice to me about not letting women be dependent on men, you know how much that resonated with me. So Rita is the CEO and president now in her retirement years, not so retirement years, of Strategies, Options, and Solutions. She is a certified chartered retirement planning counselor and a certified wealth management specialist. Rita helps professionals create income planning and preparation strategies so that they can save, keep, and grow their money so they don't retire broke. All right? And that is the thing we don't want to do. We don't want to retire broke. We also don't want to divorce broke. Isn't that right, Rita?
That's true.
So she, in 2018, wrote this book called Disclose Before You Disrobe, where she's telling women about what to do before you get married so that you know where you're at financially. Or maybe you don't even want to get married, depending on what you find out, so that you're prepared for the business of marriage. And I highlighted one of the things that I read this book many years ago when Rita gave it to me. And she says, I heard a minister say that outside of companionship and physical intimacy, marriage is a business relationship. And Rita, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michelle.
So here I am just diving right in with you.
That's what you and I do all the time anyway.
We do that anyway. So that is, I think maybe that's news to women.
Probably so. And Michelle, it was news to me when I heard that from a minister. I was watching a television minister. He was out of Houston, and he was talking about his marriage, with his wife. He had the church, they had kids, and he was talking to his congregation. And he said, you all need to understand something. He said, yes, we have the love, we've got the friendship, companionship. He said, I love her. He said, but you all got to also understand it's a business part of this relationship. Outside of that physical intimacy, all of that, the companionship, he said, we got to run a household here. And that requires money. It requires cooperation. It requires collaboration. He said, she's got to know and I got to know.
Yep.
So that just rang true with me. Yeah. He said, outside of that, it's business. And really it is, because we apply for a marriage license, the couple does. It's a legal transaction. Correct?
That's right.
And when they come to see you, it's a legal transaction again.
That's right.
And that's business.
Yep.
So, and it doesn't say that people are not loving each other or caring about each other. I say that it cares more. You care more for that person. Because as a matter of fact, Michelle, just last week, a client of mine that has done so exceptionally well in my coaching program is getting married this coming Saturday, and I'll be flying to New Orleans to go to the wedding. And she contacted me so her and her fiance could have the pre-conversation so they could disclose. And so we had a great 1-hour session. And I was so proud because she got it. She captured the mindset had changed, the behaviors had changed, and she was protecting herself. And she went so far, Michelle, as to include me in the conversation with the attorney with the prenup.
Oh, good. Good. I'm glad she got a prenup.
Yes. So she has a prenup. They're not here in Texas. They're in Washington State. Yeah. So, but, that she caught it, that she needs to take care of herself regardless. And she took the steps. She had the coaching session with her fiance and myself. so that he can understand. And she was very forthright in the conversation with him that, I am in my career. I am going to continue to advance to an executive level. She said, Miss Rita has shown me how to save my money. I've grown my money. I have a home now. I plan to pay it off early. She said, and I don't plan to go backwards.
I love that. Smart woman.
Yeah.
Smart woman taking advice from you, a very smart woman. I find that women, gosh, and I think we all have been guilty of it, girl. I mean, you fall in love and, you watch love on TV and you watch love in the soap operas and the dramas.
Yeah.
And, all the things that love is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And the Hallmark cards and, all of that. I mean, and nobody talks about that part. Like, we're just supposed to be in love and it's supposed to be an emotion.
Yes.
And we don't talk about the business side as women. Women, we don't talk about the business side of falling in love. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it is incredible to me because I see the women on the back end of that. Where they've fallen in love and they've gotten married and then it didn't maybe work out so well for them. And now we got to, break it up. And, some women marry men who do very well, and then these women divorce very well.
Yeah.
And then other women marry men that don't do very well, and the women aren't doing very well, and then the divorce doesn't go very well.
Yeah.
I read a statistic where 41% of women who get divorced are in poverty.
I'm not surprised, Michelle, because you just described.
Right.
We just talked about it. We have talked about it a little bit. We talked about what a person who was informed did. And so a lot of women are not informed about it. Or they are informed, Michelle, and they're afraid to approach that subject with that man.
And the thing that strikes me about that statistic is that's just poverty. That's not the struggle bus. Like,
that's true.
Like if 41% of women, and the statistic for women over 50 who get divorced is higher.
Yes.
Women over 50 who get divorced, it's more like 50% are in poverty. And that's not the struggle bus. Like
you
poverty and the struggle bus are two different levels.
That's true. That's true. And the struggle bus is really hard to get off of, because particularly if you definitely in that relationship, most women, as you said, we're in love. We put all of it into him. We put it into nurturing that relationship, nurturing kids, but we forget about the business part of, where are we going? Yeah. Where are we now? And,
how's our savings account?
That's exactly right. How's our retirement account? What do I have? What do we have for the future here? Yeah. Are we going to stay in this house? Are we going to do this? Right. Why do we keep taking out home equity loans on this house? What are we doing?
That's this is a soapbox I wanted to get on. I'm glad you're here. I want you on my soapbox.
Let's go.
All right. So there's this debate that's going on, especially in social media right now, of on the one hand these very rightfully so, moms who of families with means who want to be stay-at-home moms.
Okay.
And rightfully so feel that their families, they deserve to be stay-at-home moms.
Okay.
The problem I see with that on the other side of it is that they're not contributing to their Social Security. They don't have any retirement built up. Mm-hmm. And I actually met with somebody yesterday. The business was bought before the marriage. They built the business up, but with both of their efforts, but the business was still bought before the marriage, so it was separate property. Mm-hmm. They sold it. Mm-hmm. It's still separate property. They bought some real estate with it. It's still separate property. That person worked in that business, but didn't get paid as much as might should have.
Yeah.
Didn't get contributed to retirement as much because they weren't getting paid as much as they should have. Mm-hmm. Like, that is a sacrifice, but it's not a sacrifice that the law recognizes. Being a stay-at-home mom is not a sacrifice that financially is recognized by Social Security or retirement benefits. What can we say to these women in that situation?
What we have to say to them are several things, Michelle. First and foremost, it's fine to be the stay-at-home mom. But as a stay-at-home mom, you should never stop learning. As a stay-at-home mom, you should never stop investing in yourself and getting skills and learning and keeping yourself abreast of what is changing and happening in the world.
Yes.
Because in that situation, I'm not an attorney, but she should have.
I'm not either in this podcast. I'm not an attorney either.
She should have had become a legal partner in that business.
Yeah.
That way,
Yeah.
in the partnership, she would have been paid out.
And the way I would say it, and this is, I'm channeling you, I would say, as a stay-at-home mom, never stop learning and never stop earning.
That's true.
I would say to that mom who wants to suddenly become a stay-at-home mom, having a baby, stay at home, great, quit your job and stay at. I agree with that. I think children should be raised by the parent.
Yes.
If that is a financially secure option for your family, 100%. But why can't the family put aside money that compensates you for that effort?
And the family can.
Savings account.
The family can, but she's got to speak to it.
Yep.
And that's what we're talking about here.
And while you're being a stay-at-home mom, why can't you spend time while the kiddos are napping learning something? Keep the nanny occasionally. Keep the housekeeper. You don't suddenly become the housekeeper just because you're staying at home with the kiddos.
Exactly. Keep all of those services, but take that time they're doing what you were doing to invest in yourself and you learn.
Right.
But she's got to bring it to the table that if I'm going to stay at home with the kids, there's got to be money put aside. I was making this when I was working. If you can't do as much, at least do half of that in a retirement account, IRA for me, so that I have something. That's where she's got to bring it to the prenup conversation.
Right. Or even just the conversation before the baby's born. Like,
absolutely.
We have to have this conversation as the business of our marriage.
Exactly.
Because it's not fair to her in the future.
No, because then when the divorce happens, she's going through the emotional dissolution of the marriage. I put all of this in here.
Yep.
And that here I am today. I gave him this. You know, the funny thing is, Michelle, I've never been in divorce court, but I heard someone say this, and it's true. They said, you know, in divorce court, you don't ever hear the woman saying, I gave 20 years of my love and I won't have my love back. Yeah. It's about property, legal, everything, which I get, and that's understandable. But what she has to do is she's still got to come out forthright and say what she wants and what she doesn't want. Yeah. That's why it's so key to talk about the business of the marriage, the business of having children. Because you got to think about in the future of sending those kids to college. And to send a child to college now, 18 years down the road, $160,000, $170,000. That's money. But as a stay-at-home mom, it's no problem to do that. But you need to be compensated for it because we don't know what could happen in the end. We may be together, we may not. And even if he passes away, she's got to be protected. The same thing. Do they have enough life insurance where she would get that cash infusion to keep them going?
100%.
But the biggest problem out here today, those women stay-at-home mom and those even working, is people living in the financial unknown. Not approaching that subject. Not that you're going to do it all, and when you do discuss money, that everything will be solved in one conversation. It's many conversations over time, which is why I love your divorce to Dynamite.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, you know, Michelle, I'm a person that has to connect the dots. So divorce, we know, is the dissolution, marriage, separation. So Dynamite, when we think of Dynamite, we know T.N.T. That's the
Here you go. My favorite thing about Miss Rita, she is going to give us a what do we call this? An analogy.
Yeah.
What does T.N.T. stand for? I'm ready.
So because when you sent me, contacted me about doing this, then I start thinking about what I'm going to talk about, and I can talk about the money, and the money is very important in it. But for women, because you just said it, when we're in relationships, we're in love, we put a lot of ourselves into that. And so now with T.N.T., for her to go from, the emotions of what happened to Dynamite, because T.N.T. is an explosion. And so I was telling your husband, I said, it's I'm not a chemist, but you've got negative and positive energy when things explode. Protons, neutrons. I took chemistry a long time ago, but still. So we think about an explosion as negative, something bad, but really it's an explosion if you can harness the positive energy too that's come off of this explosion. So I say what T.N.T is this. The T is to first take the self-assessment and self-care as priority for yourself once after the divorce. Because it's been an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
There's sadness, there's anger, there's dejection, there's rejection, there's disappointment, there's the woman feeling that she failed at this, all of that. She's got to do that for herself, Michelle, with therapy or counseling. And I don't know if women are asking for this in the divorce decree, but maybe they should, that the husband, outside of spousal maintenance and child support, pay for therapy for her and the kids. Even if he doesn't want to pay for it for her, I think with children, that should be paid for because the children have had a very detrimental impact to their family structure.
Right.
So that first T is taking self-assessment and self-care as priority for her because she's got a lot to do to build herself back, and if she's got kids, she's got to be there for them. And so the N in the T.N.T is that no major financial purchases in 6 to 8 months. You know, you go out and buy a car, and then a month later you say, what am I doing with this car? You know, they may not need to go out and buy a house right away. Maybe rent an apartment, rent a house to get yourself settled as you're taking self-care. And then if no MLM, people coming to you ready for you to start a business. Not that you don't love your friends, but you don't need to do that now. You know, it's all about you trying to self-adjust and self-reset here because you've got some repair to do.
Yep.
And the last T is then now we can take a financial inventory. You know, what money do I have? Because there was things laid out in the divorce decree of what she's going to get. You know, money from bank accounts, retirement accounts, property. So to take an assessment of what do I really have here in assets, what are the debts that came to me out of this dissolution of the marriage. So that's the T.N.T. Take care of yourself, no major financial purchases, and then take the financial assessment of what do you have before you move forward.
I love that. You know, one of the things I think women are so fortunate, because I agree with you about not doing the MLMs. MLMs can be very great.
They can.
Financial things, but they also can be very draining. You have to be careful because some of them require financial investment. Some of them don't.
Yes.
But they're hard to make money in. You got to know what you're doing about sales. But the thing I do love about our current economy is this opportunity to do gigs, like the gig economy.
Yes.
We have these little websites. If you know how to do Canva, for example.
Oh, yes.
If you know how to create a Canva graphic, some people don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
You can register yourself and say, hey, I know how to do this one little skill, and somebody's going to pay you $100 to do it.
The same thing with a book cover.
And
to do a book cover.
100%. You can get people to, and 5 years ago, it was so hard to self-publish a book because you had to figure out how to create this book in a way that Amazon would publish it.
That's
and
true.
now it is so easy.
It is.
Because Fiverr or some of those gig things, they'll just do it for you for $100. But on the weekends when you don't have your kids, you can sign up and open it up and say, hey, I can do this weekend and make $100, $200, $300, $500 on times when you need it. And I love that about this current economy.
Yes, I agree.
That has really grown, especially since the pandemic.
I agree. I agree.
That you can learn a skill while you're a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, and earn.
Or while the kids are with the dad after the divorce, and then bam, turn it into some cash money.
That's true.
You can also just take a skill that you already have. I think a great idea would be for a group of divorced moms to kind of get together in a little pod. And a lot of people did this in COVID. But, a group of divorced moms to get together in a pod and say hey, I'm a good cook and I'm going to do the meal prep for the group.
Yeah.
And if y'all, contribute to the grocery bill and then pay X amount over the grocery bill, I'll take the groceries and I'll make the meals. I'll make so many meals for the week, and we divide them up and put them in the freezer.
I think that's an excellent idea.
You know what I'm saying? And then you make some extra cash for doing what you're going to do anyway, which is cook for your family. And then the other one's hey, I don't mind doing the laundry. I'll do the laundry for the
I'll
group.
pick up everybody's cleaning. I'll take the kids to the soccer games.
I'll be the gopher mom. I think there's so many opportunities to make a little bit of extra cash, doing things you do otherwise, on time when you don't have the kids. Like there's times where you can kind of squeeze that in if you're just creative with it.
I agree. I mean, all kinds of skills. Editing a book. If you're good at Word, you could edit books for people who are writing books. You could edit the graphics. You could do this. You could do photos for them. It's so much that you can do from the comfort of your home, and people will pay you for it.
Right.
Yeah, because my cover was done by somebody on Fiverr.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you, what is one piece of advice that you would give a divorced woman to help her increase her independence after divorce? You may have already done it, but I'm going to make you do it.
Well, we can go back with it again, and definitely what you just said was a good thing. Is if divorced moms get together in a group and talk about it, and maybe have a professional there, possibly, and just talk about what happened, because each of them have a story, and each of them could learn from the story. And by them getting all of that out, they start to energize and find themselves again. Because the biggest thing out of that, I mean, I've never been divorced, is that woman has to find her way again to navigate life, because she depended on that man to navigate it.
Right.
So the biggest for her to find that independence is she's got to take the first step, Michelle, and take a risk to go out there and start learning again, and learning who she is and who she's not, because she transformed who she was for the husband. She did, you know. I don't know how much he transformed for her, but she transformed a lot for him. So it's now, how do I really get back to who I am? And independence is going to come because she has to move forward. She can't stay stagnant, or she is really dying to self at that point.
Yeah.
So life is going to make her move forward if she wants something different, if she wants it better. She's just got to take that first step. And there are so many resources out here to help her to do it.
Yeah.
Free, everything. There's a library, there are groups, there are support groups everywhere.
Like Divorce to Dynamite.
Divorce to Dynamite.
On Facebook. My Facebook group.
Yes.
All right, so if women want more of Rita Oliver, I mean, who doesn't want more of Rita Oliver? So they can get your book on Amazon.
Yes.
Disclose Before You Disrobe, if they are in the position before they jump in the marriage.
And even if they're in the marriage, they can still get it.
They can still have the meeting.
I don't think it's ever too late, even after you.
And you have a workbook that goes with the book.
Yes. So all of that is there on Amazon.
And then you're also doing coaching for women and couples. Yes. So if they want to know more about you and get in touch with you, they can go to your website, right?
Yes, Rita Oliver, SOS.com.
You are also all over social media, and you do your videos with all sorts of advice. I just love your advice when you post your videos.
Thank you.
It's so great. All right, everybody. Thank Miss Rita Oliver for joining us. She is always so inspiring. I get something out of her every time. Don't forget, ladies, the man cannot be the plan, according to Rita Oliver. And T.N.T, Divorce to Dynamite. Thank you for joining us today.